So let's talk about, can you be an artist and a content creator at the same time? Or is a content creator an artist? Or is an artist a content creator? And the other thing I want to talk about is what the pandemic did to me and to my life. And the other thing I want to talk about is that this is going to be not the kind of video that I've been doing over the past couple of months. And actually my stories in 4K are going to end at the end of August. Starting in September, I am starting on a new film. And that's the thing. Like, I'm still going to be putting stuff up at YouTube, and I'm probably going to share my process with you of this new film, as opposed to telling these stories. And you know, when I started these stories, I was hoping I was going to be able to grow my YouTube channel. But the thing is, I don't understand how that works. Like, you know, it's ironic and it's kind of silly in a way that I'm talking like this, you know, because, you know, as if I'm talking to this huge audience, because I have 210 followers, subscribers. 210, that's like 0. You know, and the last video that I put out, it said that I had 23 views. Now, I know for a fact that I had more than 23 views because I have a gigantic following on social media, especially Facebook. And so a lot of people view my videos from Facebook. They click on the link, but then it doesn't register at YouTube because they're not logged in. They can't comment. They can't do a lot of stuff. So that's not really accurate, right? But the thing is, what I realize, it doesn't really make a difference because, first of all, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to even have YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, I've been telling these stories that I want to document. Like, they're going to be documented forever. They're going to be there. I can go back and listen to them if I want to, or people can go if they want to, you know, receive them from me. But I'm just happy that they're documented, you know, which is kind of cool. And I know that, you know, when people have made videos of me, when other people have made videos of me, like doing my shows and stuff like that, I will get thousands and thousands of views, or those videos get thousands and thousands of views. Because maybe that person has a gigantic YouTube following. I don't know. So let's break this into a couple of different parts. And I want to start with, is a content creator on YouTube a YouTuber, as they say? Is that person an artist? My phone, I got a text at the same time. Bling! That's kind of like, that was weird timing. But anyway, is a YouTuber an artist? And I would have to say, like, okay, to me, there's a big difference between what I would consider an artist and a YouTuber. However, before you get mad at me, what I'm going to say is I see a lot of artistry in what a lot of YouTubers do. I do. I can see that. I can see how some people present like a lens review, or somebody teaching you how to cook something, or, you know, somebody showing you how to fix a flat tire. Like, sometimes it becomes like a big production, and they're like really fine filmmakers, and they figure out how to do this in an entertaining way, and that's kind of artistic. It's art. I mean, it's not writing a play or writing a film or creating a painting, or it's different. It's different, and there's nothing wrong with different. But is it art? I don't know. I'm kind of stuck on that. And if I were a YouTuber right now, I would say, I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments below. But I don't really care about that. I mean, I do care what you think, but I'm not doing all that. If I were a YouTuber, I would say, here are 7 reasons why a content creator is an artist, or why an artist is not a content, you know, whatever. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's art, but it's certainly creative and artistic. And I do know that a lot of these, you know, in the space that I spend a lot of time in the space of like filmmakers, videographers, photographers, and obviously a lot of them are indeed artists. They do work on films and commercials. And, you know, there's a woman I know named Marzia Zaru who, if she shoots your wedding, it's like having, like, you know, the greatest director in the world coming to shoot your wedding. I mean, it's just beautiful, beautiful work. It's like a movie. It is kind of a movie. And so she's an artist, you know. But then again, she's not really a YouTuber because she's a genius, but doesn't have a huge amount of subscribers here at YouTube when, you know, there are people who are just like, you know, running across the street trying to avoid cars who have 23 billion followers on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. Is that an artist? That's not an artist to me. To me. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not trying to speak for anybody else. But can you be a content creator and be an artist, or can you be an artist and be a content creator at the same time? I don't know. Which brings me to the next part of my reason for being here today, which is that I am going to finish doing my stories in 4K at the end of August, like I said. And the reason I'm doing that is because I am embarking upon my next film. Now, I finished the film a couple of years ago. I finished the film last year. I started working on it a couple of years ago when the pandemic began. And now I'm working on another one. Now, let me give you a little background on that. I am a solo theater artist. So, somebody's blowing up my phone. Obviously, you can probably hear that. I have no idea who it is. But anyway, a couple of years ago, I had a play that was opening at the Signature Theater in New York City as part of the Downtown Urban Arts Festival. And COVID had different ideas and shut the whole thing down. I'm going to pause because this is driving me crazy right now. I want to see who's blowing up my phone, so I'll be back in a moment. Sorry about that. I turned the sound off on the phone. I hate when people leave me like 18 texts when they could just leave it in one text. That just drives me a little crazy. So anyway, I want to go back a little bit even before the opening of my play, which was called The Red Plaid Suitcase. So here's the thing that I'm really wondering about for myself. And I think maybe a lot of people go through this type of complex self-examination. For the last 15 years, I have constantly had a major project that I was working towards, which means as a solo theater artist, I had a full play in my head. Now, I'm not your conventional one-person show kind of artist, even though I'm a solo theater artist. My work, they're full plays, like 2.5 hours, intermission, the whole thing. You know, I don't write to like go, oh, that festival only accepts 40-minute shows. Like, I don't believe in that. I believe every word needs to be meaningful and necessary in the story, and every part of the story needs to be told. You know, I'm into exposition and denouement, and the development and the conflict and resolution, and I'm into the whole thing. Like, that's what storytelling is about to me. And I'm into the development of the characters and, you know, telling a full story, you know, not trying to like fit into a festival or something like that. And so for 15 years, I've had all these words in my head and all this production value and all this stuff in my body, preparing usually, well, first for an opening and then to perform that work, you know, sometimes all over the world, certainly all over the country. And my first play was 6 years of my life. 6 years, every day. I wrote every day. I performed every day, whether it be in a big theater or out on the street developing the show. I was out in front of people every single day, 365 all the time, constantly. It was my whole life. Like anybody who knows me knows, I give my entire life to my work, everything, my spleen, like from every organ in my body and everything about my soul and my spirit, everything, I give it to my work because I consider it to be a beautiful shared experience with the audience, and I feel like that's what I owe the work, is everything, all of me, you know? And so my first play was 6 years, my second play was 5 years, Brooklyn Quartet, and the last play, The Red Plaid Suitcase, I had been working on it for about 2.5 years, and I was ready for my opening, which is like kind of like the first workshop. And a workshop in theater is when you're doing it in front of people for the first time, and you're just kind of getting the story up on its feet, the production, the music, the set, you know, everything, the lighting, like you're putting it all together and you're presenting it. And then it moves forward from there, and it's probably going to change and have different kind of iterations as you move on, but you're kind of starting the life of a theater piece that will run probably for a few years. In my case, 6 years, 5 years, and then something that I worked on for 2.5 years. But like I said, COVID shut it down, and so I kind of went into a deep, dark depression. And I mean darkness, like really bad. And I don't know what to do. And there was really nothing for me to do because we were in lockdown. We were, staying away from each other. It was a very scary time, and it was really a time just to survive. So at that time, I kind of had the audacity, and I say audacity because I was having this thought and this idea to do something that I had never done before and that I had no business thinking that I could do. But I decided to make a film out of my play, just as something to do, to keep myself from falling into this dark abyss that I was falling into, where I was just I was feeling myself just getting ripped to shreds internally. Now, I say the audacity because I had never even owned a camera of my own at that time. I didn't know anything about, this is all well documented on this channel over the last year and a half, but I didn't know what white balance was. I didn't know aperture, exposure, any of it. Like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what an ND filter was. But I knew what movies were, and I know how they inspired me, and I knew that this was something that I could do because I had an LG V40 smartphone, which had all the manual controls of a professional camera. And so I thought, if I can learn how to do this, I can make a movie. Now, I didn't have any like visions of grandeur that this was going to be some big project. It was just something to do, And so for the first 3 months that I was shooting, I hated everything that I shot. Like literally everything I did, I just hated it. And I realized it was because I was just working from my theatrical script, and that was not a movie. Now, to rewind a little bit, my second play, which was called Brooklyn Quartet, which I feel was probably the most important work that I've ever created in my life, with the help of a guy named David Diaz, who's an amazing filmmaker and a really good human being, great cinematographer, a producer, a DP. He does a lot of great work. He was kind enough to help me to film a miniseries of Brooklyn Quartet. But basically what it turned out to be was a performance video. Like I kind of had visions of making it into like an HBO series, but it became a performance video. Mainly because I had no idea what I was doing or even how to express to him what I wanted. And so he did the best he could, and I did the best I could, and we created something that I'm really proud of and is something that's pretty amazing. And I think the best scenario for recording and documenting live theater. It's kind of like a cool marriage of live theater and cinema. But it's really just a performance video at the end of the day. And I scored it like a film because I'm a musician too. And like I said, I'm really proud of it. But when I started working on this current story, the play that was the Red Plaid Suitcase, I realized that I was doing that all over again, and I didn't want to do that. And so I had to make a decision. I had to release that script completely, just let it go, and write a screenplay from scratch based on the same story. And so I did that, but the complicated part was I was realizing more and more as each day passed that I couldn't do that if I kept the theater piece in my head. Like I had to release it. I had to let it go. Now, unless you're a solo theater artist who does long work like me, you have not a clue how hard it is to memorize 2.5 hours worth of words, like 180 pages of words. And, if you're an actor, you're probably saying, oh, I've been in plays 2.5 hours, it's no thing. Or, I did Angels in America, that was 4 hours, it's not a big deal. Yeah, but it's only me. Like, I'm alone on stage for 2.5 hours. Every single word is scripted. I don't ever ad-lib on stage, ever. It is scripted. I'm very strict with that. I create it like a theater. It is a theater piece. And so I had to release that in order to make this film. And that brought me to like a really deep mourning process. Like I really, really went through, it felt like a death. It was pretty deep. And so I let it go. And I started upon this film project. And I got to tell you that it was perhaps the greatest creative experience of my life. Like I learned more over a year and a half than I learned in my whole life combined shooting that film. I shot the whole thing by myself. Nobody was ever with me. Only one scene was somebody else even present, and that was because I have a scene where I'm laid out in the middle of Park Avenue in Manhattan, and a friend of mine, my friend Audrey, insisted upon coming to make sure that I wouldn't die. You know, just to look out for traffic and stuff like that. But other than that, it was the pandemic. Like there was, even if I wanted somebody to help me, I couldn't get anybody, you know. So, but I took this on as a solo project, and I shot everything by myself. So, and my intention was to make it look like I had multiple cameras, and I think I accomplished that. And I'm more proud of that work than anything else I've ever done. But it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And also I had to learn how to edit. So I started using a program called DaVinci Resolve, which I didn't realize was the most complicated program to learn for video editing. But I learned it, and actually I only chose it because it was free. Since then I bought the premium version because there was stuff in there that I needed. So, but it cost $300 for life, for a license that lasts for the lifetime of, you know, your creative work. So anyway, I shot this whole thing. The film became a gigantic project. I got a man named Steve Peckman to do the score for me, who's a genius. I use the word again, genius musician, orchestrator, you know, educator. You know, he's just off the charts talented. He created the score. I reached out to some friends of mine from my former life in the music business, which I spent 25 years in the music business, and I asked for specific songs from these people, and everybody donated these songs, and it just became an enormous project. And since then, it's gone through the festival circuit. It's won a bunch of awards, which is amazing to me, just crazy. And again, I'm so proud of it, and I'm so grateful for it. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like I said, for the last 15 years, I have had a story in my head where I could go out in the street and share that play, share that story with anybody. 2.5-hour story from start to finish. Conflict resolution. We got a problem. We got to solve it together. I was able to do that for the last 15 years. But right now, for the first time in my adult life, or at least since I've been in the theater, I don't have any words in my head like that. And so I don't feel like a theater artist. And the crazy thing is that the first time I got up on stage to work in the theater, I said this in my last video, I felt like I had this feeling that came over me like, oh my God, this is why I was born. Like, this is why I'm on the earth. And if you know, eventually you'll have the opportunity to see my film if you choose to do that, which would make me feel really happy. But you'll see that, you know, identity and why I'm here and all that, like that's what my life has been about. You know, I was separated from my biological mother at birth. I was put in foster care. Eventually I was adopted after being in 3 different foster homes. And my life has been all about searching for my identity, for my mother, for, well, my biological mother. Because, you know, when you're adopted, you say biological mother and adoptive mother, you know, because if you're not adopted, you just say mother, obviously. But anyway, for the first time, I don't have these words in my head, and it makes me wonder, what am I now? Because now I've become obsessed with this filmmaking thing. And I have a proper camera, which I'm using right now, and I have these lenses, and I've gotten involved with the whole lens journey, which has become a very spiritual practice for me, which lens to use, and actually the whole filmmaking process has become very spiritual for me, which music was very spiritual for me, and which theater certainly became incredibly spiritual for me. I mean, art in general is very spiritual for me, but creating content here on YouTube, it does not feel spiritual to me. It's something that I enjoy doing and I like sharing, but honestly, I did it at the beginning because I was hoping that I could, you know, monetize my channel and, you know, have another source of income, but I don't think that's going to happen for me because I am definitely not the guy who's trying to figure out, you know, how to make a thumbnail with a silly face to get people to watch my channel, or, you know, how to say, you know, make lists, the 7 reasons why bacon is better than fish, or, you know, stuff like I'm not that guy. You know, I'm trying to contribute and I'm trying to do interesting things and I'm trying to make art, you know. So not that I have anything against any of that stuff. I think, like somebody once said to me, YouTube is a business. Like if you approach it as a business, you will succeed. And I guess that's the thing. Like I just look at it as something where I can put up the camera, I enjoy doing this, and then I can upload it. I can edit it. It's really practice for me. Like my filmmaking has become so much better as a result of working on YouTube all the time. My editing process becomes so much faster. My color correcting, color grading, my, you know, the way that I'm able to, you know, shoot in the camera, you know, to get my exposure properly and my white balance and my ISO and all that kind of stuff. Like I've really learned so much, and I continue to learn. I'm just kind of putting in my 10,000 hours, but I realize that I am not a creator, a content creator or a YouTube creator. I am a creator of art. But that makes me feel kind of like an asshole when I say that, because I don't want to say that these content creators are not artists, because I think I do see the artistry in it. But it's not writing a play. It's not writing a screenplay and making a film. It's not painting. Like I have a friend, Ruthie Valdez. She is an artist. She is a genius. Now, is she a content creator too? Like she does content creation. She does a lot of TikTok stuff and things like that. Follow her. She's the Curly Surrealist. And she is absolutely a genius. Like if you see her work, you'll go, oh yeah, that's, nobody else can do that. But all of her work, all of her content creation is guiding you to her work, her art. So that's why I'm ending my stories in 4K at the end of August, because I got to get back to my work, to my art for me. So again, I guess that the answer is that YouTube is not art for me personally, what I'm doing. But it is fun and it is storytelling the way I'm using it. It's just not a play or it's not a film, you know, and that's the difference for me. And I don't have the energy to do both in the same way. Like there's no way I can continue to do stories in 4K or, you know, stuff like that while I'm working on a film, because I pour my entire spirit into a film or a play when I'm working on one. And so what I can do is share my process, and that's what I will do. I probably won't be on as often, but I will certainly share my process, because I have, in fact, developed all my plays in public, out on the streets, you know, in parks, things like that, because I love to perform in front of people, and I don't go looking for them. Usually people will see me in the corner of a park or on, you know, somewhere, and they'll come to me because they're wondering, what's this guy doing, you know, and then they stay and we conduct like cool Q&As and things like that, and I learned so much. It's like having an audience all the time, and I feel like that's the best way to grow your work. And so I'm getting back to that, and I'm gonna have my stories in 4K documented forever. And so that's what I was thinking about today. Like, can you be an artist and a content creator at the same time? I don't know about that. I can't. Now, I'm certain there are a lot of people who do lens reviews. I'm just going to use cinematographers and videographers for an example. I'm sure there are plenty of people out here who are doing you know, reviews on cameras and lenses and lights and things like that, and are still definitely shooting weddings, events, you know, doing street photography, stuff like that. Probably creating books in the case of photographers. But I'm not sure that somebody who's actually writing and directing and acting in and creating a film or doing a play is also doing, you know, being able to keep up with their content creation on YouTube. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe, but I don't have that kind of, you know, like I can't, that would be like Kobe Bryant in the middle of the NBA playoffs deciding to work on his film at the same time. I don't think that he did that. I think that he made that film, which won an Academy Award, after he finished his season. I'm pretty sure of that. So that's what I wanted to share today. I don't think, for me, I can't do both. And I also wanted to share what the pandemic did to me, because I know that I will be back on stage at some point. recently I had the opportunity to finally open the red plaid suitcase. But I turned down the opportunity, and it was the first time I said no to any gig in theater in 15 years. The first time I said no. Whether it was something that was for free or something that was for $30,000, like, I never said no. Because I felt like I had to take every opportunity possible to get out there and share my work. And, you know, since I came to the theater world kind of late, I felt like I had a lot to learn. And then once I got in there, I felt responsible to share these stories. And also it filled me up so much, like it gave me so much. But I had to turn this down because like I said, I had let these words like spill out of my head. I felt like they fell out of my ears and my nose, and just the gray matter in my brain had to replace that space with this new filmmaking work to create my movie, which was called The Center of Distance, by the way. Plug. It'll be available early 2023. So I had to say no, because I was like, unless you want to pay me for 6 months of my life, like unless you want to really make my life livable, where I could spend 24 hours a day preparing for this play the way I need to prepare, the way I work, I can't do it. I'm not just going to walk up on stage and not be prepared. My biggest fear in life is to be on stage unprepared. I will never do that. It's disrespectful to the audience. It's disrespectful to me. It's scary. So I said no. And it made me wonder, like, wow, am I still a theater artist? Like, what am I? Am I a filmmaker, a film person now? But like I said, I know that I was born to be on that stage and share work like that. And so I will be. And maybe it'll be from a windfall that I get from a film. Maybe I'll produce it myself. You know, but unless I get some kind of corporate backing, grants, a theater entity, like somebody, you know, HBO, somebody supporting me to prepare properly for a theater piece, it's not going to happen. Now, if I have to do it myself, I will. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know that first I have to complete this film, because I've committed myself to it, and I already have a script, and I'm ready to go. And I'm very proud of the script and really excited to get to it. And full disclosure, I have been writing a theatrical script based on the same story simultaneously, but I'm learning I don't multitask very well. And so my theatrical script is way behind. But I'm going to continue working on it because it is based on the same story. So I don't feel like I'm taking my head away from the work of the film. And the thing about the film, I only have to memorize what I'm shooting for each particular day. But when I get involved with the theater piece, I'm going to have to memorize what will probably be, again, over 2 hours of a story. And so then I have to, like, no excuses, no negotiating. I have to dedicate myself to finishing the writing, finishing the workshopping with a director or a dramaturge or whatever. Maybe I'll be fortunate enough to work with somebody like Corina Casiano again, who helped to dramaturge my last play that nobody will ever see, sadly. She's another genius. I have to immerse myself in the process of memorizing those words once they're written, and once I'm committed to a good first draft. And then once I memorize it, let the workshopping begin. And then the words will change over a few years probably as I'm developing, but I have to have it in my body. I have to have it memorized. I have to have it, you know, a part of my blood. And I have to have it like at the cellular level in order for me to be able to make changes comfortably and to be able to float around and create the best possible story where every word is absolutely necessary and every part of the story is important and meaningful and moving us forward to a resolution at the end, a place where we all need to go together. You know, every play for me or every story is like, I start with a problem and I look at the audience like, we have this issue and I need your help and we got to solve this together. And then we go on this journey, our Yellow Brick Road, our Dorothy, our Wizard of Oz, and we get to the end until I get back to Kansas, get back home. Go out there, try to figure it out, fix it, the end. So that'll come, I just don't know when. But I am excited to get to this film. And that's it. I think I'm going to stop now because this is the longest video in the history of YouTube, probably. Probably not, but that was a joke. But as you can see, I'm not the funny guy. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. That would be awesome. Hit the like button if you like what I do. I will have 2 stories in 4K this week, Thursday and Friday, just like every week, because I committed to that. And I will do that through August, and then in September, on to new things. And I hope you'll continue to come share these moments with me. I'm really enjoying them. And I hope to, my intention is to create the best work of my life with this new film. Something that contributes to a higher place for all of us, something that evokes positive change, and you know, a reviewer once called me a disruptive artist, and I took that with a badge of honor. You know, I do try to get in there and disrupt the just day-to-day kind of thinking that we do, and I try to create stories that you know, about issues that are not so easy for people to deal with sometimes, and turn them into something beautiful so that people will deal with things that we need to deal with. You know, and in the case of my past plays like racism and white privilege and gentrification and sexism and things like that, and just turn it all into like beautiful flowers so that, you know, turn them into these characters that you fall in love with and put it in a beautiful story. You know, not necessarily a happy story, but a beautiful story. And get us to elevate our collective empathy. That is my goal all the time, to grow my empathy, to become a better person, to become a better artist, and to perhaps contribute to the same for people who are kind enough to receive my work. So thank you so much. I'm finished now. I will see you on Thursday and Friday with 2 more stories in 4K, and onward and upward we go. Take care of yourself and take care of one another. Peace.
I'm just